So thank you again, Nathan, for participating today in our Community and Practice YouTube channel. I know, are going to make an impact for our generation, future generation, and ongoing. We need to really all come together and collaborate and make the change that we want to see. So on behalf of SETSI, we thank you today.
Pleasure.
All right. So we always begin by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So if you can please do us the honors by introducing yourselves to our listeners and viewers and tell us about your amazing work.
Thank you for the beautiful introduction. My parents are just behind, and it's your little the beginning of the intention is just to recognize them and my ancestors and all of yours as well. And so yeah, my name is Nathan Cohen-Fournier. I'm based here in Montreal or Ganawage, and I've been working in the field of social finance for the last decade. I teach social economy at the University of Montreal, and I now have my own practice where I support clients, whether foundations or social economy groups, different organizations that want to align their capital with values of social justice and environmental justice. So trying to make finance less extractive and more caring. So that's my mission. That's what I try to do every day, and try to replicate those values all across my different actions that I undertake.
Perfect. That's exactly what we need, that justice in so many layers, right? Social justice, environmental justice. It's all needed. All needed. Yeah. So. And can you articulate your personal mission and vision for us?
Yeah, well, I think, that's a bit of in my introduction. I think we live in a society where we have a very traumatic relationship with money, and a very traumatic relationship with each other, and violence is just everywhere. So my mission is how do we harness and nourish caring and loving relationships with one another and with our environment. And I've taken the path for that is for me is around money and finance, and how we relate to our financial tools, and so how these can there's I read a book by Edgar Villanueva, who's an indigenous actor in the States, and he thinks of money as medicine. And so since I read that book, I tried to relate to that, and one of my missions is to use finance as a creative tool for greater social and environmental justice. And that's what I try to do.
Wow, that's I love that. Money is medicine. I have to remember that. That is so true. You call money a currency. So I look at it as energy, always flowing, and that's how it should be. Shouldn't be grouped together into one, one area, right?
Oh,
One sector.
another friend of mine saw it as money is water, and so you just kind of take what you need. The river keeps on going. The current is shared, and so we know that there's enough for everyone out there. And it's just a matter of taking what we need and letting the rest kind of nourish ourselves, nourish others, nourish the land.
That's
And
it.
yeah, I think there's a lot of just we were talking before we were starting about relationships. I think that's the base of what an economy is. It's managing our resources and our relationships, and now we're stuck in a model where these relationships and relationships are extractive, are based on a domination. That's the model that we're in. And so that model needs to be flipped on its head. And I think at the core of it is the relationship with money, and how that generates those kind of negative loops.
That's it. That's it. So what inspires you about your work?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's incredible to work in this space. I kind of got in here a bit like everyone else, a bit kind of it was a bit random. I mean, no one really studies about impact investing or social finance in school. It doesn't really happen. But I think what inspires me the most is the people that I get to meet and the relationships that I get to harness. And so just being able to work with Indigenous communities. I mean, I lived myself in Kuujjuaq, which is an Inuit community in northern Quebec. I was there for multiple years. And so working with different communities in Montreal and Ganawage and around the area in Quebec, and just seeing and being able to support these projects with the capacity, with the capital, and with the resources that they need. That's what inspires me the most, and I think it's regenerating kind of regenerating our society with more of that care, more of that love. That's what inspires me the most.
Excellent. And I love how you said that you're not taught that in school, but isn't it high time that this generation, as you see it, is different, you know? Like I said, yesterday's generation is not today's generation by any means. So it's now time to implement social finance, social economy, social,
Yeah,
environmental justice. Those things should be implemented from even, kindergarten all the way up, in because I have a granddaughter, she's not even 2 yet, and she says full sentences. She knows, she's so highly advanced. So these children, for the most part, are ready to
yeah,
absorb this type
yeah.
of information.
The shift is incredible. I mean, when I was 15 or 16, I know that my only goal, what I wanted to do, people were asking me, what do you want to do in life? I told them I want to be rich. I didn't know why. I didn't know what it meant. It didn't matter. It's just I knew that that's what people wanted to hear. And I knew that that's what was looked upon. Like, I want to make money, you know? And now I speak, I have my, I have my students in my class. It's just such a shift. They don't have that same desire. They're what they want to do. They want to change the world. They want to make the world a better place. They want to, they want to be actors of that. But when I see that, just that 20 years, it's incredible. And what you were talking about inspiration, I mean, that youth and the students that I see every day in my class, they inspire me tremendously.
Awesome. That's so good. I love to work with youth, so I totally concur with what you're saying. So now on the flip side, like what challenges or barriers have you come across in your work, and how do you work to overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many challenges. I think we see them every day. We see them when we walk down the street. We see them when we see just the number of homeless people, when we see just poverty, when we see war all over the world. I think um, I think the challenges are tremendous. So I think for me, the biggest challenge is the pace of change and the willingness to change. I'm working a lot with institutional investors, people who hold capital. I used to work myself with a foundation that has over $2 billion assets under management. So I see that the pace and willingness to change is sometimes there, not always, and just that the pace of change is tremendously slow. So I think that's quite frustrating. So the resistance is huge, and I think that that's the biggest barrier. Anyone who tries to raise capital today knows that. It's exceedingly hard to get over the barriers of market returns, of fiduciary duty, of what it means to have a track record of 10 years. So there's all these kind of obstacles that prevent money or medicine to flow to the people who need it. And and I think that's just frustrating when you know the potential and the power of the projects on the ground. Um, it's just terribly frustrating. I work with the projects on the ground. I like when social finance projects are built from, really bottom up. But most of the time today, we're still seeing that the solutions that scale are the ones that are coming from or that are not coming from the bottom up. And so at the end of the day, they're not going to answer to the needs in the same way. So yeah, that's some of the challenges I'm seeing. I never want to have a deficit mindset because I think we live in an age of scarcity where we're fighting for resources, and we often fight with communities that are also the most underrepresented. So I think we need to focus on an asset framing, but not be blind to the challenges and the obstacles that are there.
Exactly. You hit a lot of major key points. So I'm gonna let people marinate on that one.
Yeah.
Is yeah, it's these things need to be brought to the table so that we can work on
Yeah,
that for
yeah, but we can talk about capital and obstacles and fiduciary duty. I mean, those are one thing, but I think at the core of it, it's fear. It's fear. And so we are fear driven. People are scared. People are scared to change. People are scared to lose what they have or not have enough. And so that's the main driving source. And so at a
yeah.
collective, what like the collective consciousness and like the way we relate to each other, if it's fear driven,
Mhm.
it'll always like drive and develop scarcity, I think, at the
That's it.
core.
That's it. Well, definitely, I totally agree, and that's actually a conversation that the previous interview I did, and that was the biggest thing is fear of change. Especially coming from a certain structure, a certain look. You know, white male, white female dominant. Structure. When people of color would try to come in, and it's a little unnerving, and that's something that we need to have come to the table. Collaboration is the key to systems change. Coming together, sitting at the table and having these discussions and be like, Canada is so diverse, it's so multicultural, let's try and be the change that we want for the future. That's definitely something to address.
Yeah.
So do you have any key priorities in your work right now?
Yeah, I think my one of my first priorities that I'm working on is developing a new course for Concordia University around social finance. So in Quebec, there is no course that's dedicated to impact investing at the undergrad or graduate level. So I think it's about time that we teach these skills that are needed in our system. That's one priority. I think another priority that I'm working on right now is how to really deploy more capital concretely to Black and Indigenous communities in Quebec. And so there's the social finance funds that are still waiting to be deployed in the province. And so one key element and priority is going to be to unlock that in the short term. After that, I think a third priority, I think for me is just to slow down myself personally. I think I don't know about you, but the pace at which we're going, I think is also a bit scary. And I think it's kind of a tension between what we're trying to build and how to not get caught in the rat race. And if we really wanna conduct that systems change, then the violence that we give towards ourselves, how we treat our own bodies, our own minds, our own souls, um, we need that time, just like that prayer at the beginning that you did, just recognizing our ancestors. If you're running all the time, you can't honor that enough. And I think that's key. We need time for healing. We need time for reconnection. We need time to be on the land, and that's a key priority for me for this summer at least.
Absolutely. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you focused
Yeah.
on the whole meaning of the purpose of your work, and why we're doing what we're doing. Like you said, money is the medicine, but it's really the overall, the healing that medicine will give the healing that is needed, right? To communities and not have it, grouped over here. It's actually dispersed so that we can have that that self-awareness, that peace, that calm, to know that we can eat our daily bread without having to fight for it. Yeah. Right.
100%. 100%.
Amazing. So and So how do you feel about the future of social impact in Canada?
I mean, I think it's exciting. I don't want to be, I mean, I want to stay positive, I think. What I'm seeing, and I was just at the launch of a big report, State of the Market in Impact Investing in Canada, that was released at Fondation in Montreal last week. I think the outlook is good. There's going to be more capital flowing, that's for sure. We're seeing more interest from institutional investors. So I think in terms of the market, it's only going to grow bigger. The key question is, where is that capital going to flow, and are we really going to see, as impact investing goes towards mainstream, um, are we still going to see different relationships to risk and return, to how we consider what a good investment is? Can we consider that, making a market return on affordable housing is something that we want to do? So it's just like, as we see more capital flow, is impact investing just gonna become another version of ESG? Um, that's a bit of my worry at the moment. It's not about more capital flowing. That's definitely gonna happen. It's just that we're going to see a bit more of that systems change and a bit of that rally, like boldness, step up, because what I'm seeing from investors at the moment is not very encouraging, and the practices are still deeply rooted. And so I'm a bit ambivalent, but I'm seeing so many good projects. I mean, I was just working with a partnership called Yananchia, which is a Canada-wide project for access to housing on reserve, on Indigenous lands. I mean, you all know BKR Capital for Black innovation projects. We know that Wills Théagène here in Quebec is developing another diversity fund that's much needed. The Jaël Élysée and her team at Fonds Afro Entrepreneur, they're doing incredible work. So it's just like you seeing all the puzzle, the pieces of the puzzle are there on the ground. And so is there going to be that shift at the institutional level? That's going to be really key. And I think it's going to be a lot about leadership and who's at the table.
That's it. That's it. Um, hmm. Man, so that my brain just goes as you speak, as people speak, but sometimes I like to listen more. They say, you have two ears and one mouth. You're supposed to listen more.
Often we don't listen, eh? We think about what we're gonna
Mhm.
say.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, I'm taking it in, everything you're saying.
yeah, yeah. But what's your outlook on the future of impact investing?
I am hopeful because I have so much faith in the new generation, and I know that time heals all wounds. And all I'm asking is, in order for that to be successful, people like you who are creating courses in these schools, to come forward and really teach the next generation the importance of this, because
Yeah,
they're going to be the new stewards of this land. They're going to be the ones that are going to take over. They're going to be the new leaders. So I am hopeful when I look at the new generation, the ones that really care about this world and want to see the change. I'm a little worried about the teachers, but when I see people like you, I know there's hope, right? So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it always. I always to try to keep it positive as well, because I look in the eyes of the new generation and that gives me hope. That gives me hope.
yeah, yeah. We
Yeah.
need to give them the tools. We need to give
That's
them, the space, the tools. And I mean, when I teach, you see that the youth, for them, what's really driving is equity and climate. And we're seeing that
Mhm.
that's really two areas that youth want to be involved in. They want to see more diversity. They want to see themselves be represented, in all their shapes and forms. And I think, and then they're seeing climate as key. And so that intersection, I think, is going to be really really interesting, and that's going to be really nice because I think we're still especially in, I mean, in social finance, but everywhere else, it's still very like it's still a very siloed way of looking at things.
Yeah.
You have this climate fund, or you have this diversity fund, or you have this, agro
Hmm.
fund, and then it's all kind of split. And so the more we're gonna bring these elements together and weave them,
Yeah.
um, I think it's gonna be exciting, and I see students coming up, and they want all of this to be integrated because they see it as just one. So that's going to be
That's
I think.
it. Yeah. They want to take the lead, and they make things look so much more simpler to do because they take things like ego out the way and that scarcity mindset. They put that to the side, and it's like, no, why can't he also get and she also get and this nation get and this nation get? Why does it have to be so
Yeah,
one-sided? So
yeah, and it's like a fire, it's like I can give you fire and I still have enough for myself. It's not like I give it to you and I don't have enough at all.
that's
So it's how do we think about it that way with power, with money, with different things. If I share it, it doesn't mean that, I'm gonna
you're
be
gonna
left
do
with
it.
nothing. And so
That's
just shifting that, I think is huge.
absolutely
Yeah.
awesome. So, what is your ultimate goal, and what does success look like to you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, for me, my ultimate goal is always just the way I live my own life. Yeah, I don't make that many. The barriers for me between personal and professional are quite thin. And so, I want to live a fulfilled and peaceful life with the people I love on this beautiful land. So I think that's really at the core of it. And I think I've found a very nice space in social finance where that can be developed and nourished. In terms of the social finance space, I think for me, it's really about democratizing the access um, to impact investing. So how do we get you and I to be able to put some of our money into these projects that we care for? How is it not a space that is reserved for the elite, and that they keep basically making the calls? And so I think for me, my dream is that we were able to develop like short circuits, in food where you can buy food from a local farmer. Well, we can develop those short circuits with the way we deal with our money and the way we deal with our pensions and our savings. And even if it's just 5% of your savings of or mine that are invested in a local housing project, that's hundreds of billions of dollars that's going to be flowing in our local economy, and that's going to be flowing to projects that need it. And so how do we develop the system around it? That's what I dream of. And how do we think about governance differently? How do we think about sharing power? How do we think about recognizing history and, the extraction that our models are built on? I think if we rethink some of the tools around there and democratize the way that money is invested, I think there can be so much potential from that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I love what you're saying, like building systems, and that's exactly it because that's where collaboration comes in, and
yeah,
what we're doing right now, bringing everyone to the table. And another thing that helps in accountability is data-led, systems change as well. So I always refer back to like going to Tim Hortons and seeing the calorie, any of these fast food restaurants, seeing the calories beside it. It's
yeah,
holding them accountable to say, yes, here it is. This is what you're consuming. This is how many calories, so that
yeah,
that person now can make a honest, wise decision about their own body, their own mind. Their own, is this something that I can eat, and all of that. So that is to me is so, uh, precedent right now is to say we need this data. We need organizations, companies to be held accountable
yeah,
for thus far. I think a lot of the data has been hidden, and not being brought forth for the whole community to see, so that, like I said, accountability is held. Because I remember listening that a lot of people are fed up with Loblaws. Loblaws is jacking up the prices. People can't afford groceries.
Yeah.
So let's see the data on that. Let's see their sheets. Let's see their banking statements here. What's going on, and let's do something about it. Because a lot of people, they complain also about is so much talk but little action. We have the power to say no more shopping at Loblaws if we don't see X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Right? We will put more money and more funding into these community-based food sources, like our local farmers markets. Keep those going and getting the things that we need to get going to the source until change is made. And
Yeah.
I think that's something that we have to really put into the minds of the youth, because they already have that spirit within them to be like, oh yeah, where do you want us to go? We'll go and, and stand up for that. So that's something that I really feel passionate about, that the data is so key for change.
Yeah, we need our, like, what's our base, like where we're at and how we know that we're improving and where we want to go. And I
Yeah.
think it's so key. I mean, it got me so frustrated every time I work in the impact investing space. And you're working with all the investors that, they have good intentions, but you're like, okay, you said this 10 years ago, you made a pledge in 2010 saying that you're going to commit 10% of your capital. Where are you at? Where's the accountability? Where's your money invested? Who are you giving money to? Who are you granting to? Who are you investing with? And so just that baseline layer of knowing where capital is flowing, knowing what, who's making money with what. I think that's gonna be a huge. It's like pulling the curtain and looking under the cover. And I think we need that. We need that. We need that so much. And I tell that to Narinder at New Power Labs all the time. I tell, let's get that data. Let's get them to show us what's happening, because we
Yeah.
know, like we know when you work in that space, you know that it's not all pretty, and it's okay, and like people and organizations need to feel like, okay, they're not perfect. No one's perfect. And let's work together to make it better. Like no one's trying to, no one's thinking that the financial systems is all beautiful and that we're sharing wealth and that everyone's getting their fair share. Like that's not the deal. But if we're always in the dark, it's not going to help anyone move forward and really see kind of
That,
yeah.
yeah. Always an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Nathan, this has been such an incredible and inspiring meeting with you, an interview. And, this is things that really need to be brought forth, so that we can be the change that we want to see, and then also leave that legacy for the next generation, in order to, because they're going to have to carry the torch. It's not going to be in our lifetime at all, but they're going to have to carry that torch, but at least have a roaring flame on that torch, so that they have, ample, juice to go. Try to keep it as simple as possible. So the last question I have is, do you have any closing thoughts or calls to action at this time?
No, I think I just wanna take this moment to just express my gratitude. I think the work that you do at SETC is remarkable. I think we need more. I think we need more links between Quebec and the rest of Canada on these topics. Um, there's too many frontiers that are imaginary, and so I really celebrate you reaching out, and I want to encourage more of those cross country links. And yeah, just merci beaucoup. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, well, it's our pleasure. On behalf of SETC, we really, really appreciate all that you do. We value you. We value everything that you are doing to make that change. And I know this won't be the last. We have, our event coming up for next month. So
Yeah.
that's this is the ongoing, and being that prime piece of puzzle that's needed to make the change. So again, on behalf of SETSI, we thank you for all that you do and your leadership. And until we see you again, but we will close the way that we began by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So, Nathan, once again, thank you so much. I wish you nothing but success for your future, and until we meet again.
Thank you, Matt.
All right. You take care. Have a blessed day.